Buona tarde, Carla. Good evening. How are you?
Hola, good evening. Bien, very good.
We are extremely pleased to have your wonderful film at the Cambridge Film Festival, Alcarras. And congratulations for all the audience recognition, critic recognitions, and obviously Berlin's award. Let's start with your fantastic cast, which I believe is almost exclusively non-professional actors. When I think about characters like Quimet, played by Jordi Pujol or said, I find it extremely difficult to accept that he's a non-professional actor. How do you achieve those performances from them?
Well, the first step for getting there was the casting process, which was actually very long. We spent about a year to find these people, and we went to all the villages in this area, in the village festivities, in the cooperatives where they bring the fruit, in high schools, schools, on the street. We started this casting process before COVID, so we could just go out and watch people and invite them to come to the casting. And we saw about 9,000 people. It was crazy because it's a big cast. It's this ensemble piece, no? So we had to find many people, and it was nothing was shot there before. So they were very excited about coming to the casting. The only thing is that for farmers was a little bit more difficult because in summer they have their harvest. So they were like, I don't want to hear about the film. I have to work, no? So well, in any case, we finally found all these people, and they didn't know each other, no? So, and they were all from different villages, different families. So the challenge was to make them look like a real family. So I rented a house in the area, and they came every afternoon, every weekend, not all together, just in relationships that made sense for the film, like father and son, or granddaughter and grandfather, just the little kids, or just the couple, no? And somehow we built their relationships through improvisations of moments that could have happened before the story that Alcarras tells, no? Like we worked a lot on the fact that they were about to lose the land, that there was this owner who was ill that was about to die, then in our games he died, and the grandfather was sad, no? So we just tried to build this kind of shared memories between all the actors. And and then when I felt they were ready and they felt like a family already, then we read the script just once, so they didn't have to like learn it by heart, just have a sense of what they have to say. And then we went to the shooting, but we followed the script quite precisely. The only thing is that they were not so conscious that they were actually following the script, no?
Very interesting. Talking about the script, I'm aware that as you did with your previous film, Summer 1993, there are personal experiences that have influenced the writing of the script. Do you have a preference for telling stories that are close to you?
Well, yes, because for me, cinema and life go together, no? And it's for me, making cinema, it's almost like a way of living. So it makes me pay attention to things that probably I wouldn't pay attention to if it wasn't because I'm always thinking if they could be in a film or not, no? So for me, it's a kind of like a way of living. And in this case, so Summer 1993 was telling my childhood, and it was really close to my own history, but Alcarras, it's a bit different because it's about my family, because my uncles cultivate peaches in Alcarras, which is this small village in Catalonia. And so it's the world that I really wanted to portray. And the idea came to me when my grandfather died, and for the first time I thought, what would happen if these trees that we take for granted because they are always there, one day disappear, no? And it's not the case of my family because my uncles still cultivate peaches, but I realized that this was happening to many families, no? That they were abandoning the land because there's this way of doing agriculture in small family groups is no longer sustainable as it used to be before, no? So some people just don't want their children to, or their sons to keep cultivating the land, and they give up, no? So for me, was just, the plot came to me just talking to other farmers, and I realized that, yeah, that this was something that, it's a pity that it's happening, but it is happening. And it's not that agriculture is going to end, because we need to eat, but the models of making, of working the land are changing, no? So every time there are more like big companies that buy the land and put people to work. So this way of doing agriculture in family groups is less and less common, no?
Yeah. I love ensemble films, and your film Alcarras is a great example of ensemble films, and all the plurality that it brings. And another thing that I enjoyed about your film is the skill you have in showing different points of view, like the grandfather, his remorse because he trusted that verbal agreement, the siblings, the rivalry, the gaze of the children, innocent, looking at all the environment that is changing. How important is it to you to show all the different perspective to what is a shared story?
Well, the thing is that I come from a very, very big family, so I'm very used to. I had this desire to portray what it means to be from a big family, and I wanted to explore it in a cinematic way, no? And the truth is that the first feeling when I thought about this film was like, maybe it could be taught from Kimet points of view, no? Because he's probably the one who carries the highest weight, no? And but the thing is that I'm not a 45 years old man who is a farmer, So his point of view for me was a bit like I couldn't relate like straight, no? So I decided that maybe I couldn't tell his point of view, but I could tell what it means to have a family crisis, because I've been through it, no? So yeah, the challenge here was very big, because I came from like making a film that was really one point of view from the girl, no? It's the case of Summer 1993, and suddenly this was a big challenge, and we worked a lot on the script on, when we are in, like what's the most important point of view in every moment. And what you realize when you are in a big family is that emotions kind of, like the emotions of one character can affect the other one, no? And there is like kind of this effect, domino effect, no? That even if you are not taking part of the problem, you end up being there as well, no? So we decided to work in a way that the structure of the film is like one character's emotion affects the other one, and the other one, and the other one. So somehow the family is like an only body, no? And this was complicated to write, and also it made us think a lot where to put the camera, no? While we were shooting, just to be in the right place with the emotion that we had to be, and the same in the editing room, no? It made us, like, it was a demanding thing to build this just to drive the audience from one character to the other. But for me, it was a very fun thing to do. Yeah.
That's interesting what you say about the camera. And personally, what I felt is I was very close to the story. I was very close to the characters, but yet I never felt that you were directing me in one direction or another. I felt like you were allowing me certain distance. So I think it is quite amazing how you combine this closeness to the story, but keeping a certain distance for the viewer as well. Is that something that you strive to achieve?
Totally, yeah. Like, I'm a bit obsessed with this because I think that it's very important to find like the fair relationship between the audience and the characters. And I don't like when a camera is very intrusive, but I want to be close to the characters, no? So it's always something that we have to think a lot while making the film with the DOP. And it was something funny happened in Alcarras, which was that we shot in a really interesting place, no? And we had these amazing sunsets and sunrises, and the landscape was amazing, no? But for me, sometimes we were like not looking at these kind of beautiful things, but turning the camera to the characters, no? So it's like sometimes we felt like, okay, why we are not shooting what's beautiful? Instead of that, we're shooting what makes sense for the characters, no? And it also was a way to tell the story from the characters, no? So for me, it's like I choose to put the camera always in the place that makes sense for the characters more than for my aesthetic choice as director, no? So sometimes as director, I would say this would be a beautiful shot, but it doesn't make sense because I want to be close to this character, and this is the shot that makes sense for the character, no? So it's I don't know. With this film, I realized that it's almost something philosophical, no? Where you put the camera, and I was very inspired by the neo-realistic Italian filmmakers, that they were always very close to their characters in terms of emotions, and very, yeah, and finding this fair distance you were talking about, no?
That, in a way, answers another of my questions, which is neorealism, Italian neorealism, which has been mentioned as an influence because of the non-professional actors, the natural shootings, the kind of quality of life and the struggles of working class. But surprisingly, I've heard that you also got inspiration from Westerns. Tell us a bit more about that, please.
Well, the thing is that I don't know much about Westerns, that's the truth. But I mean, I've even studied them. But the thing is that this landscape reminds us a lot to Western films. No, we say actually that this area of Catalonia is like the Catalan Far West because of the landscape and also because of the people somehow. And so yeah, there were some moments that we wanted to kind of evoke this idea, and also we were quite inspired by the I don't know how you say it in English, this book that then John Ford adapted. It's called something, The Grapes, las uvas de la ira, las uvas de la ira.
Yes, the grapes of ira is rage, però no és aquest. Oh yes, the grapes of wrath. The grapes.
Okay, that's the title in English. Okay. All right. Yeah. No, because this is something similar to. So the plot is similar to Alcarras, and there were some emotions that were similar. So yeah, we rewatched some westerns just to kind of evoke some of these images in the film. No.
The character of Quimet is very powerful, and I would say it's probably one of the most poignant elements in the film, because it's obvious that he's going to dedicate all his efforts to complete it, because otherwise he would lose the money. But it's like living in denial, not contemplating the future. So it feels very much like he's going to have a lot of emptiness after that, isn't he?
He's going to be what?
Very, very empty. His life is going to be very empty because he's somebody who is living completely. Yeah. That's his life. That's everything. And he's in denial. He continues with his life, although he knows that's ending. There isn't a plan. Yeah. There is although you leave your film quite open, it doesn't feel very much like, if you take that into account with what you said about the end of an era, it doesn't feel like you don't define what's going to happen, but probably it looks like it's not going to be like the past, is it?
No, that's the thing. Actually, I wanted to have a happy ending because my uncles still cultivate peaches. But then after talking to the farmers in the area, I realized that their point of view on the future is quite negative and pessimistic because they don't earn enough money out of what they cultivate. So then it was like, okay, so it would be naive to have a happy ending in this film, and we change it, no? And you're right. So Quimet is basically a character who is in denial the whole film, and this is how it's a grief process, no? At the end, and he just stays in the first phase of grief, which is denial, and towards the end, he realized that this is for real and this is gonna happen. No, for me it was very interesting, like to take this premise as, they get the information about they have to leave the land at the beginning of the summer, but a farmer during the summer, like a farmer who cultivates sweet fruit that we call it there, no, which is like peaches. For them, the summer is the busiest period, no, and it's also kind of fruit that you have to pick it in the right time, otherwise it's gonna get bad in the trees, no. So he has no time to think about what they are gonna do. He just is obsessed with finishing this harvest, but there is all the time this tension about, okay, this just happened, and sometimes family crises are like that, no? So we keep living and doing things, but we have a problem that it's there and it's kind of threatening us all the time, and we cannot face it in the way we would like, no? So this is the case of Kimet during the film, and yeah, for me it's like it's also the ending could be seen as something positive, in the sense that the fact that he will have to start over. He will have to start over with something that maybe will make him or give him an easier life. Who knows, no? But for sure, it's not what he wants to do. No.
And there is I would say, probably, if you allow me to make this kind of conclusion, another sad effect, which is nowadays when we are talking about being more ecological, and when we are talking about the proximity of the food we eat, and some of these old processes, all this organic way, more local, is actually in favor of this, less transport, less industrial. So I think there is also a bit of that message of sadness, in the sense that we should actually preserve this type of more responsible consumption, and what we call, at least in Catalonia, I believe it is called, but in many supermarkets, like the 0 kilometer. So there isn't much carbon footprint.
Yes. No, yeah, the thing is, when you have a piece of land and you cultivate it, and you want your family to continue, you really take care of it, because these will be inherited by your children and your grandchildren. So this land has to keep giving, no? When there is a big company that gets the land, there's this idea of exploring it, no? And if at some point this cannot be useful for them, they will go and find another land, no? So for me, now in the world we live in, this idea of cultivating the land in small groups and taking real care of it, for me it's very important, I think. And actually it's amazing, because it's the oldest job for the human condition, no? Because we do this since historical times, no? And it's very strange that this model is changing. But what you are saying is right. I really have a lot of hope on ecological agriculture, because it's a way of cultivating the land that right now you cannot do it in big companies, and you have to do it small, and it's a way that that makes sense for the world we live in right now. So I guess that I don't know if it will be done by family groups, but little by little, there will be people who take pieces of land and cultivate, in this way that we need. And I think that as consumers, we also have to get a lot of consciousness of what we eat and where it comes from. This is also very, very important, no?
Of course. Carla, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope for your next film, we'll be able to have you face-to-face without Wi-Fi in Cambridge.
I hope.
And we'll have the opportunity to also share you with an audience. Again, thank you for your time today and for your excellent film.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the film.
Thank you. Bye.